Since we started the Egghead arc, I've noticed something very important that people haven't been considering. For several years, One Piece took a different direction from its usual approach right after the time skip. For those who don't remember, we were constantly guided by something or someone to reach the next island. We had to pass through places like where the Gyojin lived, confront one of the Yonkos, but not without first stopping by Dressrosa to resolve something that one of Luffy's allies needed to handle. In short, the essence of adventure that the series initially gave us was lost right after the 2-year time skip. So if you want to understand why One Piece is currently at one of its best moments and why it is returning to its roots, stay tuned because I'll explain everything now. But first, I'd ask you to check if you're subscribed to the channel. Many of you who watch my videos believe you're subscribed, but you might not be. So do that and activate the notification bell. It would help me a lot and I'd be sincerely grateful. Now back to the topic. You think One Piece is a series about pirates? Not exactly, because the main plot doesn't focus on them, but rather on the people who govern this world. This may seem absurd, but it's not. Nowadays, if you ask any fan what they think the most important storyline is, they'll probably mention anything except the story of pirates itself. This means that in the process of creating this great series, the author immersed us in a world where the key focus is the chaos it suffers. Of course, pirates play a role in this, but not in the way we initially imagined when we first started the series. What grabs our attention most is how the author sprinkles in details and emotions rarely seen in a shonen. At the beginning of the manga, we experienced a feeling hard to find in other stories, a true sense of adventure. We were constantly wondering what would happen next, how the story would unfold, and even when we'd come across that great treasure. Truly no one, absolutely no one, thought the manga would last so many years and that today we'd still be on this journey. New enemies, new races in this world, new allies, and a complete lack of knowledge about where we were heading. As I mentioned earlier in this video, all of that changed with the time skip. By then, the crew followed a much more structured pattern. Little by little, we learned about the world government's misdeeds, and the weight of the story shifted entirely. Everything felt vastly different compared to how it was originally. We find ourselves at the Wano arc, which lasted over 100 chapters and more than 4 years to wrap up. In the end, the wait was worth it because this is where all the good stuff began. When we learned that Luffy is the sun god and doesn't have the Gomu Gomu fruit, we were stunned. No one could have foreseen Luffy awakening his fruit in this way. Whether you liked it or not is entirely subjective, but you can't deny that it caught you off guard. At the time, several creators, including myself, briefly discussed this possibility weeks before it happened, which I'm proud of. However, I didn't fully grasp it until Gusk explained the situation. This means the mangaka knew how to surprise us with something almost no one expected. While there had been surprising moments in the story before, they weren't as impactful as they once were. For instance, think about the first time we saw Luffy's Gear Second. That was incredible, and we hadn't felt anything similar until the final part of the Kaido arc. When the arc ended, we had no idea where the story would go next. That sense of mystery and adventure reminiscent of over 12 years ago came rushing back to me. It wasn't just about wondering where our protagonist was headed, but also about the other characters we'd grown attached to and where they were going. This feeling has carried over into the Egghead arc. Although I think some parts could have been told more quickly and concisely, it's by no means a bad arc. Quite the opposite. While the most exciting events were happening outside the island, Shanks defeating Kid's crew, Blackbeard causing chaos across the world, and losing almost all of his crew, it was still thrilling. Meanwhile, the island itself also delivered fascinating developments, such as the appearance of a Gorosei and the first display of their power in the series. Keep in mind, the lore surrounding the 5 elders has been present since nearly the beginning of One Piece, making this one of the most significant events in the story. On top of that, we also saw Emo's pure malice as he effortlessly eliminated Saturn and replaced him with Figurlin Garling. Combined with one of the most emotional backstories in One Piece, this arc is truly deserving of praise. However, this isn't about whether the arc is good or not. We fans already know that. What's curious here is how Oda has gradually returned to the series' origins. Rather than a drastic shift, he's slowly reintroducing elements designed to blow our minds. Take, for example, the introduction of Dr. Vegapunk. Initially, many believed the young girl was the original Vegapunk. I didn't fall for it, but many others did, which highlights how Oda is reasserting his storytelling mastery. Now, as we approach the beginning of the Elbaf arc, these two giants are playing an important role in the plot. The truly important thing, though, is how Oda is perfectly handling this arc's focus. Elbaf was first mentioned in chapter 116 when we met Dory and Brogy, and from that interaction, we all knew an arc about this island was coming. However, none of us imagined it would take more than 20 real-world years to arrive here. We know almost nothing about what could happen on this island, even though we've been receiving information for months. Loki, who has finally been revealed, seems immensely powerful. Although we're unsure whether he's an enemy, it also looks like we'll learn more about Shanks, as the sun god of the island called him a coward, a clear hint from Oda that we'll discover much more about him. We're also set for one of the most anticipated encounters of all time. Nico Robin meeting Saul. A mysterious character is waiting for them, and we have no idea who it could be. We'll likely also delve into the mythology of Nikai or learn more about Joy Boy. All of this highlights the shift in Oda's attitude toward his story. That's why I'm happy to see One Piece evolving, or rather, returning to its roots in this final stretch. I'm sure the surprises ahead will be just as incredible. That's why I love this series, and that's why I idolize its creator. With a simple twist, he can achieve amazing things for us. And that's it for today's video. I'll leave you with 2 videos you might find interesting, so don't hesitate to check them out. Remember to subscribe, share, and comment. Cheers, and see you next time